What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Legit Whiskey Reviews. And today I'll be reviewing Booker's. This is a 2024-01, the Springfield batch. All right, so good to be back again. And today I'm going to be talking about Booker's. So Booker's, going back to a long time, I love Booker's. Like, some of my favorite batches are Country Ham, the Bardstown batch. I have those 2 bottles up here. They're long gone. I mean, they were so good, but I still have the boxes and the bottles up there. You guys can't see them on camera, but anyways, so this one is the first batch of 2024. This is like I said, the Springfield batch, and it's named Springfield batch because a lot of people may not know Booker was born, and his first few years, he grew up, born and raised basically in Springfield, Kentucky. And then he moved on to Bardstown, but that's why they named this one Springfield batch, because that's actually where he was from. But yeah, and it comes with, all Bookers come with the story card on here, and it has all the information on here as well, like what floors and what warehouses the whiskeys came from. So that's kind of cool. I know some people don't see them in their areas, and when they do, they're overpriced, which is a big problem with Booker's. You know, when I started buying these, they were probably like $65 to $70, and in a lot of places I see them over $100 now. So it really just depends, and I don't buy them. I only buy them when this one I kind of bought on a whim, but most of the time if I hear a batch is good, that's when I usually pick them up. And the Country Ham definitely was my favorite batch that I've tried. And the Bardstown batch I really enjoyed as well. So I have both of the, I never reviewed the Country Ham because that was before I had my channel, but the Bardstown batch I did review on my channels. You guys can find it on my channel somewhere. But yeah, let's get into this. I'm excited for this one. I haven't had a Booker's in a little while. Last year I decided not to buy any of the batches. Just didn't, I don't know, I wasn't compelled to, but this year I was like, you know what, first batch of the year, let's try it. Typically I like the middle to later batches as far as the Bookers. I think there's 4 batches a year, so the 1, 2, 3, 4, this is, like I said, 2024-01, meaning first batch of the year. So yeah, let's get into this. All right, here we go on the nose. Yep. There's that Jim Beam nuttiness in there, which I don't mind. I mean, I'm a Jim Beam fan for the most part, so I expect that nuttiness. More like a peanut, like a peanut. Some people are put off by that, but I enjoy it. But definitely coming through on this Booker's, which is typical for a Booker's, on a lot of Booker's. There's a ton of vanilla in here. There's a vanilla in here, but I don't want to say it's just vanilla. It's reminding me of a different type of vanilla, and I was thinking about that. This may sound kind of weird, but it's leaning more towards, in my opinion, more towards like a French vanilla instead of just like vanilla, But it's definitely coming through. So peanut, vanilla, French vanilla. There's a decent oak coming through here. And there's a fruit coming in here. Really nice. I want to say it leans towards a cherry. But yeah, it's really nice. And then a good amount of caramel as well. So for the most part, I would say this is a typical Booker's nose. Nothing over the top, not anything like Country Ham was, in my opinion. But it's solid as far as the nose. It's what I expect in the Booker's. But it's nothing that's like exceeding a Booker's. Like, it's not like, I can tell it's not gonna be like a must, like over the top Booker's batch, like a special batch. There's some spice in here as well. But yeah, this is nice. It's a typical Booker's nose, but I feel like it's above average on the nose. It's not like one of the lesser batches that weren't that great, and there's been quite a few, especially the last few years, but so far this one is I say this one is above that. All right, here we go. Cheers. Yeah, this is nice. Very enjoyable. Oh, by the way, this is I didn't even mention this. This is 124.5 proof, so 62.25% ABV. And this batch comes in at 7 years, 7 months, and 8 days. So it's nice to see these Booker's batches being a little bit past 7 years, because for a few years there, they were like 6 years, barely 6 years old, you know. So it's nice to see them like creeping up in age a little bit at least. But as far as the nose there, everything I pretty much got on the nose, I'm getting on the palate. It's been happening a lot lately for some reason. Sometimes it's totally different. But anyways, I got that peanut on the palate. Good amount of spice. The vanilla definitely comes through. The caramel, the oak. I feel like the oak is a little bit drying, you know. It's a little bit drying on the palate, and it's a good lingering finish, still going a little bit. So this is a nice long finish. It's a solid batch. I really enjoy this one. Is it special? No, I don't think it's special, but it's a good batch. I'm really enjoying it. So let's try it again. Yeah, the more you let this sit in the glass, the more that peanut comes forward. It's just that Jim Beam nuttiness really coming through. And I feel like I probably should have, I poured this right before we hit record on the video here. Like, that's when I poured it, right before we turned on the camera. And I feel like I should have let it open up a little bit in the glass, maybe like 20 minutes at least before I started recording, because I feel like the longer you let this sit in the glass, the more enjoyable it gets, because now it's getting thicker as far as like creamier on the nose. It's getting sweeter. And I feel like a little bit of those darker notes are trying to come forward more. And it just needs a little bit of time, I feel like. But let me try it again. This is another bottle that I've had for a few weeks, and just haven't gotten around to dropping the review yet. So yeah, like I said, you know, I'm kind of behind on my reviews, so it's good to be back and bringing this one for you guys. But yeah, this is getting better the more I go back to the nose. The more you let it sit in the glass, I feel like it benefits from it. And I always forget, I hit record and I always forget, I wanted to have some water here to kind of play with the water, add a little bit and see what it does, and totally forgot, but oh well. This is nice. My advice, let it sit in the glass before, so you pour it, let it sit in the glass for at least 20 minutes. Let it open up a little bit, because I feel like this whiskey benefits from that. Definitely better on the second sip. It's richer, a little bit creamier, darker. I feel like the vanilla and caramel notes are getting a little bit richer. Like I said, darker. The peanut is there, but I feel like the peanut is kind of taming down, and I feel like those notes that I described, the vanilla, French vanilla, it's more vanilla on the palate, but on the nose I was getting like a French vanilla. But anyways, the vanilla and the caramel, they're like sweeter, richer, darker, really nice. The spice is definitely coming through. The oak, even the oak, I feel like was less drying, and there was a little bit of bitterness towards the back end of the palate, like a little bitter oak, and that kind of dissipated a little bit on the second sip. So super enjoyable, much better on the second sip. One more time before I give my final thoughts here. Yeah, this is nice. That's why I enjoy Booker's. Yes, is it hard to find? Yes, in my area, they pop up pretty often. It's not that hard to find, but you know, the price is where people have a problem with it. Is where I have a problem with it. So I just happened to catch this at a good price, and I was like, you know what, pull the trigger. But yeah, I'm glad I picked this one up because it's enjoyable. You just gotta let it open up. Yeah, definitely third sip. That's one thing with this Booker's batch here, the Springfield batch. It's not dropping off. A lot of times you have third sip, you know, and it kind of starts to drop off, that it doesn't stay around as long. This one is not the case. All the notes that I was getting are even better on the third sip, just from sitting in the glass. And it's staying consistent. It's not dropping off. It's not falling off. It's not falling flat. It's just a consistent and a long finish, enjoyable finish. That bitterness, that bitter oak kind of that I was drying, bitter oak that I was getting on the first sip just disappeared. I'm not getting that anymore. Maybe my palate is acclimated now as well. Maybe that has a little bit to do with it, but I feel like just letting it sit in the glass will definitely benefit. So as far as my final score, I do take pricing into account. You know, you have Knob Creek, which is also from Jim Beam. They have the 12-year, and that one's only about, what, $55, $60 in my area. So this is only 7 years old. Granted, this is uncut, unfiltered, so, you know, you could take that into account, and that kind of drops the value on it, you know. And I do take value pricing into account. I just do. I know some people don't, but I do, especially nowadays. So as far as my final score, I'm gonna give this a B+, and it's only a B+ because hard to find in some places, and pricing. So, but besides that, this one is super enjoyable. I'm glad I picked this one up. The last one I bought was the Bardstown batch, was I believe was like 2 years ago. And I really enjoyed that one, and I feel like I hit a home run again picking this one up. I really enjoy it. So there you guys have it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and keep it legit, and do it for the love of whiskey. Cheers.